Do we need video though?
Huh?
Is this audio?
Oh, yeah, we have special guests. We should count in 1, 2, podcast.
Usually it goes beforehand.
Yeah.
Podcast 2, 3.
Oh,
4.
you're right.
But I mean,
Podcast 1, 2.
I like the idea of counting in before you know what section it's going to. 1, 2. Oh, by the way, verse.
Bridge.
1,
Bridge.
2. Wait.
You are listening to the Real Fun Records podcast with Chris and Jesse Phillips. Well,
Here we are.
my last name isn't Phillips.
Chris and Jesse Phillips.
Well, that does bring up something we could talk about, which is I keep referring to you as my partner, business partner.
Business partner, just to clarify.
Yeah,
for
you
those
didn't used to
wondering.
have to clarify that.
Well,
You're like,
I think it's always just nice,
Yeah,
give
well.
people the full picture. We are business partners
yes.
with the same last name.
No, we don't have the same last name.
Well,
As usual, we have Brandon Lake here, but he's not in the room. Hey, you want to say anything? Yeah, man. I just wanted to say I love being a part of this.
what?
That's awesome.
He loves being a part of this. Is that what he just
I
said?
think that's what he said.
Yeah, he's just so far away. I couldn't.
Well, it's hard to
tell.
hear him. He won't even peek around the corner. Hey, Brandon.
He's in a right around the corner.
It's fine. We'll have him on eventually.
One day.
One day he'll be like, okay, fine, I'll come
Yeah.
talk.
Amazing. We sat down at Chick-fil-A. As you know, that's our spot.
That's where we go.
Our Chick-fil-A lady's back. She's a sweet grandma.
Well, and she was sick. And even today,
Yeah.
she said she still has some respiratory stuff.
Yeah.
So y'all be praying for Leah,
Leah.
the
Shout out.
kindest Chick-fil-A lady ever.
Yes.
She
Shout
held
out to you.
both my hands as I ordered today.
Aw.
She held her hands out and was like, mm-mm.
Put your hands in mine. What would you like to order?
It was kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's like a little therapy session where I shared my problems and she fixed them with the pimento sandwich.
Your problem was I do not have
I do
a
not
honey
have
pimento.
the honey pimento sandwich yet.
Incredible. Well, we went to Chick-fil-A to talk about this.
Yes,
talk
we
about
did.
the podcast and other things.
Well,
but
because last time it felt like maybe we weren't prepared at all.
well, for sure we weren't. For sure we weren't. There's
I don't know if we'll ever be fully prepared.
Yeah, well, you know. Thanks, Brandon.
Thanks, Brando.
Wow. Oh, you go by he goes by Brando to you.
Well, I mean, he's my buddy.
Didn't
He's
know you
always
guys were
here.
that.
He never leaves.
He never leaves.
I had to give him a nickname.
Wow.
Brandon is just hard to say.
Just Rand.
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 No,
That's
so
like the Topher version of
Yes.
Brandon.
Yes, exactly.
I've always thought it would have been cool to have gone with Topher.
There's still time.
Nah.
That ship has sailed.
Oh, it sailed, man.
Yeah, well, next
Well,
time.
'cause
Topher.
All my friends know me as Chris. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be that guy that's like, I'm not Chris anymore. I wonder how Simon dealt with that in the Bible. Or
yeah.
Abram
Abram.
and Sarai.
It's like, actually, stop calling me Abram.
What do you mean?
Abram,
Come on,
I've
man.
called you Abram for years.
You're 90 years old. I've called you Abram for 80 of those.
There's surely people who mess that up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They're like, Abram, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Abraham?
Well,
Abraham? How many?
It works out all right because you can start saying his original name and fix it.
Abraham.
Abraham.
What's up, bro?
What's up, Abraham?
Okay, so the whole point of saying all that was to say that we went to Chick-fil-A to actually talk about what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So we do have a plan for the podcast. First plan is to shout out our sponsors.
Yay!
Church Gear sponsoring the whole first season of the podcast with gear that we're we're still not using.
Well, because we don't know how to use it.
Sorry, Church Gear, but also thank you, Church Gear.
Yes, thank you. Big thank you to Church Gear.
Churchgear.com. Go buy some stuff from them.
And then our favorite shout out every time is TennesseeKidsBelong.org, tnkidsbelong.org, and they're the best. They don't pay us anything, but we wanted to. It's a reverse sponsor.
Reverse sponsor in tnkidsbelong.org. Check it out for next steps. Go do the right thing.
Just go watch some videos, and it's going to break your heart. You're going to want to adopt a kid. Your wife's going to tell you, no, we can't have another kid, and you're going to be like, oh, but there's other ways you can help. They have a thing called wraparound, and there's a whole community of people. When you adopt a kid, they'll come and wrap around you.
Yes.
And like these new parents aren't having to pay for clothes and diapers and
it's a big deal.
Grocery. It's a big deal. And that's stuff that our listeners, even young people, maybe you're not even thinking about kids yet, but you can help. Go to the website. It'll give you extra next steps.
Absolutely. Shout out. And we still need to talk with Kristen about coming on the podcast.
We do need to get her on.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
All right. Well, moving on. An official shout
Thanks,
out
Brando.
by Brando.
Wow, that's impressive.
Brando Calrissian. We talking about camps, writing camps.
Yes, of which I've done many, and we've put on
Two.
That's right.
We did 2. We've put on, as Real Fun Records, we've put on 2 camps, and we were like, maybe some people don't even know what that is. I know I've worked with a lot of churches that are trying to get writing, like, cultures off the ground. Like, how does our church start writing worship songs and all that kind of stuff? And, we've
like
got some.
A Jesus culture, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if we know anyone connected to JC that might have insight. Maybe has written some songs. I don't know.
Well, what does a camp look like when we do them? Because you're kind of the brains behind the organizational side of our camps. What is that? So someone says, yes, I'm going to come to your writing camp. What happens?
Well, we typically have like a couple of group times and a lot of like writing times that are set aside. So obviously at a writing camp, you want to write songs. It's hard to pair people together without any insight into who they are. So typically
yes.
we'll be like, no, I know these people. These are my friends. Here's some of their, story.
Well, and what they're good at. Some people are better at lyrics, and some are real good at melodies.
Totally. Kind of like diving into the whole person as like, this person's great, this person's great. Let's pair them together because they have, complementing strengths. And so last time, was it July? July we did our first camp, or August?
Oh, gosh.
I think it was late July.
Late July.
But we had everyone hang out here in the studio
we threw a party the first night.
First night, it was like a little bit of a grill out.
My wife made us some smoked meats.
It's true. There was smoked meats.
And Jesse here made us burgers.
I smashed some burgers on the block.
You smashed the heck out of those.
The heaven out of those burgers.
Sorry, guys.
This is a Christian podcast.
Well, we'll bleep it out. We can bleep out heck, right?
Yeah, we can. Now I'm going to have to go back and edit
No,
that.
you have to bleep it twice. My bad.
Anyway. I wonder what someone on Fiverr would cost to bleep out these. Which the name Fiverr, you would assume $5.
Yes, but they get expensive these days.
Yeah, anyway. So first night, throw this party, we hung out, and then we kind of gave like
or we casted a little vision on this first one we did, the vision was, we don't know what we're doing, just ask God what you're supposed to write and do it. Make sure that it's fun and you have fun doing it. The second one we kind of went into, that one was cool because we had met with the Apple people, Apple Music, that
Shout
is.
out Steve Blair.
Shout out Josh Kotris.
Boom.
Steve Blair. And we met with them to talk about the label side of things, and they invited us to do our next camp there, so we did.
Yeah.
And that was a blast.
It was. So, I mean, if you're trying to use some of this stuff for your own benefit, like having some sort of vision at the front end that you kind of commission writers with, say, this is what we're trying to wrap around, to use a Tennessee Kids Belong.
Hey, there you go.
Wrap around an idea or a set of verses or like a sermon series, something like that. And then everyone gets into different rooms and writes. So we did 2-a-days, morning write and afternoon write, with a long lunch break in between so people could go hang and get to know each other better. And so we did that for 2 days. What was it? Thursday and Friday. Or no,
Wednesday, Thursday.
Wednesday, Thursday were writing days. So there's four sessions and like 4 or 5 writes going on at all times. So by the end of the week, you're collecting, a dozen songs or more.
Well, and I was surprised at how good. Like, I've been to a lot of camps. They're not always. Oh, see, co-writing's kind of weird anyway. With strangers, it's a little bit like a blind date, but with the pressure of, hey, you guys got to make a baby that grows up to be the president. And you show up in the right, like, I don't know, how do you normally do this?
But for the record, I've never felt like that in a co-write with a stranger. I've never felt
the pressure of having to succeed.
No,
you have to make like the best song ever.
Yeah, I mean,
I always felt that pressure a little bit,
and that's why your songs are better. I just have no pressure.
That's not true. We're about to cut a song Jesse wrote, and I love it, and have loved it for about 2 years now.
Wow.
Well, because you wrote it forever ago.
It was at a camp that I didn't feel any pressure. So, but yeah. So then something unique we're trying to do
which is my favorite part.
Yeah, which is your idea.
No, not really.
I mean,
it's our idea. We all of our. I don't remember whose ideas are whose.
This is like a co-write, but a co-ideation.
Yeah, whose idea is it anyway?
It was 99% your idea, and I was in the room. So
no, man.
I get the
we
credit.
split it 50-50. Word for a third.
I like that. That's a short. I've always heard write a word, get a third, but word for a third.
Word for a third.
That's shorter, punchier. I like it.
We should make T-shirts that say word for a third.
Sounds like a bank.
It does. Word for a third bank.
So Friday. So Wednesday, Thursday, writing, and then Friday was. You want to tell them?
No, I want you to. It was your idea.
What are you talking? Okay,
it was your idea to tell them.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Friday was a band day where.
Both of your ideas. I don't know, Brandon.
Brandon was here when, so he gets a third.
He gets a third.
Unbelievable. Thanks, Brandon. Always a pleasure.
You're welcome.
I like how much you cover up the mic. Like, it might not even pick up what's happening.
Well, I don't know why I cover it up only when he's talking, but I do. It's because he makes me excited, and I pull the mic down like, oh, it's Brandon.
Oh, my gosh. So Friday's a band day. Wednesday, Thursday writes, and Friday we listened to all the stuff that was going on and
we track them.
Yeah, chose a few songs and just went into the studio with a band, like full.
But not just any band. Yeah. Like we had Daniel Carson and Josh Fisher and yourself,
Mr. Mike.
Mr. Mike, one of the most incredible keyboard players in the world. People don't even know about Mr. Mike. You're about to learn about Mr. Mike.
We need a Mr. Mike podcast.
Oh, we should get Mr. Mike on. Yeah. You guys would love Mr. Mike.
Should we call him and ask?
Yeah, let's call him right now.
We're not filming.
Let's see. I got him right here.
Wait, we can do it through the computer?
Yeah, we can. And then he'll be on the podcast.
Amazing. Well, Friday was a band day. We got all those guys together and tracked those songs. And so that was a pretty fun way to end the camp. And so we might release some of those tunes that were written and recorded within, 48 hours?
Yeah, it's
72
so
hours.
Cool. And one of those songs we did track, I sang on it, and we could share a little snippet of it.
We should.
Should we call Mr. Mike first?
Yeah, let's call Mr. Mike and then do a song.
Let's see what happens. This is fantastic.
I love this. Will he be able to hear us?
Well, we're going to find out, won't we?
I wonder if it's even set up through the studio monitors. Or the Studio Mac display.
He's not going to pick up.
Come
All
on,
right,
Mr.
well,
Mike.
the myth of Mr. Mike will live on.
Well,
you guys will never...
The weird thing is we called him from the studio computer, so his phone was like, McClarney's Funtime Studios is calling. So does he call that back, or does he call one of us back on our phones?
Well, let's let the people take bets right now.
Yeah.
Does
Mr. Mike call Chris or the computer? Which one would you do? What's the move?
All right,
I feel
guys.
like if you got called by a computer, you would call the computer back because that's what called you.
Well, yeah. You got to call the thing that called you.
That's what I would do at least.
Well, because he doesn't know for a fact it was me and you.
True.
It could have been Josh.
It could have been true. It could have been anyone that uses this computer.
Right. See?
Well, you guys want to hear some songs?
All right.
I like that I asked that to nobody in the room. Yeah, I want to hear some songs. Oh, thanks, Brandon. You saved me there.
All right, here. Let's. This is from the camp. Now this one, the goal was to write like a hymny type song.
Himmy?
Hymny.
A himmy down?
No, like the Dodge truck Hemis.
And this is like the demo.
Oh yeah, this was a day up. This isn't mixed or anything.
It sounds way better now, but.
Oh yeah, we fast forwarded it to the good parts. We do owe him a vocal. Jake,
Yeah.
if you're listening, I'm sorry I haven't redone that. A little distortion.
Looks like the tube mic was just so overdriven.
Those are some real long notes.
Yeah. Who wrote on that one? It was you, Jake, SB.
Yes. And Hunter.
Oh, Hunter was there. Yeah.
Hunter.
Was it three? I feel
there
like
was one other
four.
one. Gosh, we've had so many rights, my brain can't even wrap around it.
They will get credit. I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't you?
In this moment
Yes.
You're not.
We've just been doing too much.
And that's why I include all the last names on all my work tapes, so I can always remember. So here's a special tip for you. When you submit something like lyrics or an MP3 of a work tape, include your last names.
Ooh.
Boom.
You guys want to hear a little snippet of Daniel Doss?
Yes.
Like a short. We'll do a short one.
A short one, yes. We can't give too much away.
No. We'll just listen to how good his voice is. This is coming out sometime next year.
Yeah, 2025.
You've been walking through the valley of the shadow.
It's so good.
Carrying all
Oh my gosh.
And lay your burden down at the feet of Jesus.
I think that's a good teaser. But
Yeah.
we have to show him the dobro.
Yeah, true.
The dobro, I think, is right here. Let's see if I nailed it. Nailed it.
Who's playing the dobro? Is that Ethan?
It's Ethan. Yeah.
Yeah. Sounded like Ethan.
I don't know if we should tell people about the back.
Do I have to edit this?
No,
thing?
we're not going to edit it.
It's the worst. We need an HR department.
No, we don't.
Oh, well.
Wait. If you're the boss,
Mm-hmm.
can you get in trouble with HR?
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh.
A lot of bosses do.
That's why Michael hates Toby.
Well, there you go. Amazing. Any
Well-
other tunes we got?
Well, let's see. Should we show him a little Nate Moore? A little neat
Ooh.
Moore, as we call him.
Yeah. Some neat more.
going to the folder called Neat More Songs. Listen to this. It's called Graveside. Just a real. I'm just gonna give him this good part.
I remember your mercy. Every breath that I breathe. Oh, your kindness and call.
It's gonna be fun. I don't want to give away too much of the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about the writing camps. Having been to a bunch myself, and also now having thrown a few, because we did some. I did some at church as well, and now we've done 2 here. What makes a writing camp happen? Like, is it something anybody can do? Like, these listeners, like, they're with their church people. Like, how do we encourage them to do that? Like, what's the next step for, like, hey, you want to write songs with your friends? Like, are there secrets we can give them?
There are plenty of secrets.
I have a very particular set of skills. Silver and gold have I not, but what I do have is a very...
That's so dumb. The answer is yes. Technically anyone can do this. It is a lot of work. So someone with a passion for it can absolutely pull this off at their own church or their own community. It doesn't have to be just...
Or just like a group of friends.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be like a one church thing. It could be multiple churches. It could be friends that you know. It could be anyone really. But what I would probably do is gather people that you know and know their strengths and their stories, and compare them together. I usually do groups of 3 or 4.
I do. It gets 4 is a little big.
It can, yeah. It depends. 4 can be a lot in a room.
Well, it's hard for anybody to get a word in.
Yeah.
Like, inevitably, someone ends up feeling like, well, I don't really get to input anything on that song. Just the nature of, like, groups.
Totally. There's pros and cons for each size. I mean, 3, sometimes it can get quiet and nothing's being said.
2 can get real quiet.
2 is like someone has to be talking at all times.
Brutally quiet.
Yeah.
Man, have you ever just sat in a room with some other person in silence for like 30 minutes just going, what if the chorus could be like...
What do you think about...
Oh, I like that, but what if it's like...
So that's essentially a co-write with 2 people. That's a talkative co-write with 2
that
people.
Was.
Actually. But yeah, get groups of 3, 4 together. I think if you haven't written a lot of songs, 4 is actually a great number because...
Actually, yeah, you're right.
Then you can have conversation going. It doesn't get too quiet, and there's momentum happening. And then just, if you're at a church or a place with many, like, Sunday school rooms or whatever, you don't need a ton in a room to write. Just a couple of instruments. Google Docs is a great...
Google Docs is... that and notes on your
Apple
iPhone.
Notes if you've got everyone with iPhone stuff.
So what we do typically at the beginning of these writes is like, who's going to build the Google Doc?
Mm-hmm.
And then just one person's in charge of making sure we're typing down the words. But everybody's sitting there looking at it on their phone, singing along.
That way, if someone makes, if they type up something, you can see what they're typing, and then you can all know the lyrics to the chorus. So I usually set like a line of no judgment where you can,
at the bottom.
Yeah, you can type whatever you want to below there, and then when you have like an idea that you want to be like, oh, what about this? You can bring it above the line.
Yes.
And kind of work on the actual structure of the song there. That way, if it's below the line of no judgment, you have space to just let your mind go with stuff.
Well, and that's important for new writers to think about, which is a lot of times the good idea is on the other side of the stupid idea. Like, you kind of got to go through the brain dump part where you're like, this might be a bad idea, in order to get to the gold sometimes. there is a digging sometimes, if you will, a crafting side of it as well.
So I just got a text from Mr. Mike.
Mr.
saying,
Mike,
you guys trying to reach me? Just got a FaceTime call from studio computer. Can't answer right now.
Yeah, well, it's because he's busy. He's Mr. Mike.
The text to both of us I did not expect, though.
Oh, what did it say?
Well, no, just that's what he said. Like I just got a call from.
Oh!
But I didn't expect him to text
Yes. Well, he knew.
both of us back, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't even one people could have bet on.
You guess you could go back in the episode.
Well, you know what? Rewind it.
And then listen with other friends in the green room.
And be like, no, I bet it's...
Yeah, I bet you $30 that it's going to... He's just going to text them both back.
Have you ever been bet backstage to do something on stage?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And not like a bunch of money or anything, but it's more like you won't do this.
I made $40 on a Jesus Culture concert in Long Beach, California. They bet me the band guys bet me $10 each that I would not sing every ad lib that Leland does in Lion and the Lamb. Like word for word.
Yes.
So we played that song and I sang every ad lib. Sing it over the battle.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
It was pretty funny. And I made money doing it. Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you can praise God and God will bless you.
God. And also the drummer, monetarily.
You know, one of the things that you mentioned earlier about the camps is we do kind of set a little target.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I think the target is so important where you're saying, hey, this is what we're writing for. And sometimes, like, a lot of the Easter songs we wrote were straight from Darren saying, this is what I'm going to preach on Easter.
Mm-hmm.
And the target's so tiny. Sometimes it's so good to have something real, like sniper it instead of shotgun it.
Yeah, rather than be like, write something dealing with scripture.
Yeah.
Have a specific scripture.
Have a God-themed song. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's important because that's something that a lot of people don't do in writing, which is they try and throw everything into the song, like the entirety of Christianity.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, what would have been better is had you picked like grace, and the verses set up grace, and the chorus is kind of your main theme about grace, and then the bridge is the response to grace. Yeah. And then it's like this song fits and it's cohesive instead of, well, let's do grace and the Holy Spirit and resurrection and
it's like it can all be true, but it doesn't have to all be included in one statement.
Well, and on a practical sense, us as songwriters for the church, there is a little bit of a responsibility that we're writing sound scripturally songs that match with what Scripture says, but also what the songs that we write that contain Scripture are the things that people sing on the way home. They're not like quoting the pastor to each other on the way home, but they're humming the worship songs, you know, that at night. Got him.
Got him. Which this is an interesting thing with writing songs and pastors. I think a lot of times people count them out as like, oh, they're not songwriters, so we're not going to have them as a part of this thing. But I think you're teaching pastors who are going to be giving words to the church are a perfect place to go for words for your church in song.
Well, and honestly, the real change is only going to happen with them. Like, as a worship leader, I can make little incremental like pushes. I stretch people every week and they get a little bit more into worship as we go. If Darren or if the pastor of a church gets up and says, hey guys, I think we need to focus on worship, the culture changes in an instant.
Yeah.
And so you think about practically for these worship leaders, be in relationship with your pastors, like push on them to actually be part of the worship leading, and that when they say, hey, in Scripture it says, lift up a shout, like you're free to do that here. That opens up doors that you just couldn't do on your own.
Yeah, and there's a lot of wisdom in those people for leading the church, so leaning into them is a great thing. Even for like prompts, if that little pitch meeting before a songwriting camp, if you have a sermon series coming up, like what a great way to tie in with something that's happening already organically in your church. So there's numerous ways to have like content to write about, but if you're all on the same page about what you're writing about, then after 2 days of writing and 4 groups are writing twice a day, you've got several songs about the same thing that you can choose the best one or whatever to move forward with and lead at your church.
And that's how we did a lot of the church ones, were when people showed up, it was like, here's a list of messages we know are coming up. Like, he's going to be preaching on this and this. Yeah, I think that'll be super fun.
Totally.
And we talked at Chick-fil-A today. For those of you that are diligent enough to make it this far into this podcast, that we were going to give you guys the opportunity to write and then send us the songs that you write. Because we're doing another camp in January and then one in February. And I think maybe one in March or April. And the goal of those all is we're going to record on the last day.
Yeah.
And so if you send us your songs, and we're going to listen to every one of them, me and Jesse, actually the two of us will.
We'll sit in here in the studio.
In this studio, we'll push play on Dropboxes. And how would they send us songs, though?
Send stuff to Jesse, Jesse, at realfunrecords.com.
Jesse at realfunrecords.com.
The most helpful thing is to have like the lyrics and an MP3 or something, a work tape. It doesn't have to be like produced. It's just just some way we can hear it. Voice memo is great.
Memo demos,
anything audibly that we can hear instead of just lyrics. But it's also helpful to have the lyrics in case we can't understand if there's something in the recording. So send those to Jesse at realfunrecords.com.
And me and Jesse will listen to each one of them.
Yes.
And if we find something that really hits us, we might record it. If you guys will let us.
And we'll reach out before that point. You're not going to hear it on the radio and be like, wait a second.
Wait, they stole my song.
Yeah.
Which isn't something that happens. When I first wrote Your Love Never Fails and Jesus Culture recorded it, I was worried that, like, well, what if someone steals it? This is a weird thought because as soon as you write something, it's copywritten.
Yeah.
Like, there's no extra step.
Mm-hmm.
You can register a copyright, but it doesn't create like, as soon as you write something, you have the rights to your, what do they call it? Brain stuff.
Brain stuff. Well, that's why Google Docs is really great, because a lot of people are worried about how can I prove that I own this song? And if you have the song in Google Docs, there are timestamps of when you created it, when you edited certain things, when the final version was done.
Yeah, but having been in the industry for forever, nobody's out there stealing songs.
No, yeah, they're not trying to find some random.
Like, it's so hard to get all the rights taken care of anyway.
Yeah,
the idea that someone would be out there like listening to other people's songs. Well, I say that, but then Honey Boo Boo or whatever, didn't she like rip off someone else's song?
Did not anticipate Honey Boo Boo entering the chat. Oh, she's here actually.
Hey.
I invited her. She's my friend.
A little co-write.
Wow, Honey Boo Boo and Brandon Lake in the studio today doing a co-write.
Incredible. You just never know what's going to happen here. But yeah, I would say you should not worry too much about that stuff. It can be proven in Google Docs when it was created, if that were to be an issue, but that's never really an issue. And it won't be an issue for us, obviously. We'll reach out to you. Right. And it'd be cool if you do write the song that we're like, hey, we should track this. you should come hang out.
Oh,
And
definitely.
you should help us
Oh,
record
we're definitely going to reach out.
it. Yeah. So,
And honestly, if you guys send us songs and we find like 5 awesome songs, maybe we just do a podcast record. What if we invite these people out and do a little podcast record?
I like it.
Real fun podcast records.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes. I like it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you can always send us stuff. But I think if you're looking to get the potential to be recorded on one of these, songwriting retreat days, it would be cool to have stuff maybe by second week of January 15th. Let's say January 15th.
January 15th.
It would be great to have stuff by. So no pressure, obviously.
But throw a camp. A little bit of pressure. A tiny, tiny bit of pressure.
Tiny pressure. Throw a camp at your church. Let us know how it goes.
Well, because honestly, the best songs for your community are ones that come from your community. So
true.
You guys getting together and writing songs for your church, even band guys that maybe are thinking, well, I'm not really a songwriter. I bet you are. Mm-hmm. Like a lot of band guys, or a lot of writers I know used to be band guys.
Yeah.
So the idea that like it's for some special club of like poetic people, it's not. I mean, music is music, and if you're listening to this, you probably like music and can do it. So send us songs.
Yes. Send us songs, Jesse at realfunrecords.com, and
or Hesse if
yeah, if you want to say that.
Ja.
I used to say stuff like that on AIM, on AOL Instant Messenger, just like JAJAJAJ.
Did we talk on the podcast about AOL Instant Messenger last time?
Did we?
Well,
did it come up 2 episodes in a row somehow?
Well, we definitely talked about it. I just can't remember if it was. What you guys don't know is we're kind of always podcasting to ourselves.
True. True.
This is just a moment when we pushed record because we went to Chick-fil-A. We already told you that part.
Yeah. What was your screen name? Your
Hyper Hypo.
Wait, that was actually your screen name? You did say Hyper Hypo like 97 or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was 98 because that was the class I was in.
No way. So that was your actual...
Hyper Hypo 98.
I had a couple, but Guitar Guy Dude was one for...
Guitar Guy Dude is cool.
Most of high school.
Well, and this is fun. People might not know this about you.
Oh, no.
Oh, can you edit it in?
Edit what in?
Jesse is the guy that you might remember did all the Guitar Face videos.
Oh, yeah. There were some...
they kind of blew up.
There's some YouTube happening with that. Well, it's kind of a sore spot because I signed it with this company reached out to me, right? They're like, hey, we see it's doing real good on Reddit. You mind if we buy it from you, the license from you? We'll give you a couple $100 and pay you 60% of ad revenue.
Oh.
And I was like, hey, yeah, it's a 90-second video. I would love for that. Like I didn't expect it to be monetized. Yeah. And then they took it to Facebook, got millions of views on Facebook and some other
Facebook
platforms.
Facebook doesn't pay.
Well, some of the platforms they had were paying for content, and there's monetization there that could happen. So, I mean, for a little while, I got checks. Like, checks were coming in, like, a couple hundred every quarter.
Heck yes.
Like, my biggest check was, like, $700 or something from ad revenue. And I was like, dude, what? This is awesome.
Heck yeah.
And then, like, 2 years in, it, like, dried up, like, completely. But it was still getting a bunch of views.
Oh, no.
And I was like, what happened? What's going on? So I emailed them, and they didn't get back. And I emailed them again like a month later, and they didn't get back. Turns out they hadn't sent me even fully what I was owed, and just kept getting more and more.
That's the worst.
Yeah, more and more money. And then when they had enough money from not just me, but all these other creators, they like pulled the plug and were just like, we're not a business anymore. And took everyone's money and ran. So anytime someone brings up the Guitar Face videos, I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, you can monetize it now, right?
Yeah, I own all of them again.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I mean, they're like 13
guys,
years old.
Go watch his videos.
Don't go watch my videos.
Yes, go watch them.
That is ridiculous.
Blow him up. Like, how many people watched our last episode? Do we have any
Metrics?
metrics?
None that I can
Well,
pull
last
up
I checked,
immediately.
there were definitely 6.
Well, I think we've got a couple dozen
Oh, heck yes.
at very least.
So we went from a half a dozen to a couple dozen.
Half a dozen.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. At least.
So
a couple
we've
dozen.
like quadrupled our listenership. Fastest growing
4
podcast in Christian music related content.
Yeah. And Christian music label writing camp
Content.
it is 4Xing.
Fastest growing. Yeah.
4Xing right now.
4Xing every week.
Please share this. Go
Subscribe.
Rate it if you can. Write a little review. All that helps.
Email Jesse
Email me
at realfunrecords.com.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have an email there yet.
Because they cost money.
They cost money.
And we were like, realistically, are you going to be emailing people?
Yeah,
was
you
like,
did say I don't even check my regular email.
You have like 100,000 emails.
I do. It's bad.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's real bad.
Sorry, Brandon.
Anyway.
Or was that Honey Boo Boo?
It was either. Honestly,
Yeah.
it could have been either of them because they sound so similar in the foyer.
They do, which is weird. I've never noticed that before, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out, everyone.
We love you guys. I love you. It's a crazy way to end the podcast.
Love you. Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.
I actually kind of love it. Love you.